Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. And today we are at the Buffalo Naval Park and we've got something really cool to see you. Something that you've probably only seen in historic footage because it just isn't done anymore. It's obsolete, the need for it doesn't exist. Notice, suspended between USS The Sullivans and Little Rock where we're standing, there is a highline transfer chair. Because these two ships are permanently moored next to each other at about the distance that you would be conducting underway replenishment, highline transfers, those sorts of things, they're actually using that as a way to display what was a common feature on these ships that is no longer done. And like I said, that you don't have a context for this anymore. So, let's say I've seen this done a lot with flag staffs transferring from one ship to another. I've seen this done a lot with somebody has a medical issue. The medical spaces on a ship like USS The Sullivans is not going to be the same as it is on the 6th Fleet flagship here, the cruiser Little Rock. So the Sullivans might have 1 or 2 hospital corpsmen taking care of their medical needs. But if you have something really critical, appendicitis, or somebody's injured in some way, either working or in combat, oftentimes the best thing you can do is get them off of that destroyer onto the next biggest ship. If the destroyers were operating independently, they may well have their own doctor. Oftentimes squadrons of destroyers have a doctor who will rotate between them. But you're almost guaranteed on the larger ships, the cruisers, the battleships, the carriers, to have those sorts of medical facilities. So when the destroyer is operating alongside, they can send those people over here. And it is what I would define as squirrely. Like, you have to use, it's often an M14 rifle nowadays that's got a line on it to shoot a line from one ship to the one operating next to it. Those two ships have to maintain the same course and speed. Now, there's a problem because these two ships operating closely together in waves and weather will have some really interesting wave action happening between the two ships that's trying to push them apart or together, depending on what direction the waves are coming from. So it's a real ship handling nightmare to hold your ships together like this for unrep. And that's just making sure you don't pull the refueling hose apart. When you're transferring a human being, particularly one that's really important, an admiral, or one that's in a compromised state, somebody who's injured, sick, in some way needs to be transferred for medical, you got to be really careful with this. If the ships come too close together, the line will dip and dunk that person in the water. If the ships come too far apart, the line will part and dunk that person in the water. In fact, let's say there's a highline transfer and it's an officer that we don't like here on Little Rock that we're sending over to the Sullivans for whatever reason. The helmsman may intentionally move the ship over a little bit just to dunk them in the water. And so there's lots of stories of people saying, like, hey, I'm going over there, you make sure you hold this ship steady. One fun story about New Jersey involving a highline was during one of her midshipman cruises. The football team had to transfer off of the ship before the end of the cruise to get back, probably for a game. I can't remember the exact specifics. But one after another, while they're being transferred with their personal effects, they accidentally lost their homework over the side. Midshipmen are the sort of people that you would haze by dunking them in the water. It's a believable story. Every single one on the entire football team, there might have been something more going on there. Regardless, that's my new favorite, my dog ate my homework excuse. I lost it during a highline transfer, coach, I don't know what to say. Multi-ship museums are really difficult to maintain, and I've railed against them a number of times in the past, but this is a really, really outstanding example of what you can do when you have two ships. They're nested together, so in theory the Sullivans is being largely protected by Little Rock being on the outboard side. Little Rock has a 5-inch armored belt, that's not going to waste through anytime soon. And they're using it to display this. What replaces the highline transfer? Very shortly after the lifespan of these ships, helicopters are completely prevalent, to the point that just about every major ship has a landing pad on it. And so if you need to transfer people, goods, things like that, you're not sending them via Highline anymore. You're taking off in the helicopter, going over, and touching back down again. And just about every cruiser and destroyer in the fleet nowadays embarks their own helicopter. And even if they don't, they at least have their own landing pad on board to receive a helicopter. So just a further example of how by doing this, you're able to show a piece of history, something that was incredibly important to these ships in service, something that I'm sure is recognized by every former sailor who comes onto these ships, but something that we have no context for anymore today. So if you're going to have a multi-ship museum, use your ships to tell a multi-ship story. Don't just have like a random collection of whatever ships you could get. Having ships that would have operated together, like a destroyer escorting a cruiser, telling that combined story and showing things that these two ships would do together is a really excellent way of interpreting multi-ship museums. So what do you think? Would you ride the Highline chair? Do you think the crew would keep you out of the water if you did? Let us know in the comment section down below. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, also from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. We really appreciate your support. Continue supporting the ongoing efforts here at the Buffalo Naval Park and the ships that they're preserving in the link in the description below. It'll take you to their donate page. There's also a link down there to their social media so you can see the content that they're creating. You can support Battleship New Jersey by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find out about our museum and our channel. Thanks for watching.